Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Get ready to laugh with Punchlines with Frank Nicotero. Join Frank and his team of featured guests for your daily dose of comedy.
Reno, the Pittsburgh of the West.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Sports.
F for Falcons, Alex. We were talking Derek Carr for MVP after 2 games.
Who's we?
Okay, me. I was.
And the funniest social media posts.
People want to show off their food. Boom. Wiener on a guy's shoulder. It's the Dark Colts. We bleed blue.
It's your one-stop spot for great laughs and a good time. Find us on YouTube at Punchlines FN. And join the chat live weekdays at noon Pacific for the ultimate blend of jokes, sports, and viral fun.
Welcome in, everybody. Happy Sunday, the last Sunday of March. It is March 30th. I am live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. This is Sports by the Book. We appreciate you all joining us today. Please comment below any questions you have for us or any remarks you have so far on the tournament. We'd love to hear from you and give you a shout out. We will go over the 2 Elite 8 games we have left on the board today. A little recap from yesterday's games, and then, of course, 13 baseball games going on today and 7 NHL. So excited to get to those. We will just do today's action. Jeff Parles back on the desk tomorrow, 10 a.m. to go over plenty of things going on for the upcoming week. Again, Punchlines is back. Make sure you check out Punchlines FN for the week. Noon, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday coming up this week. Excited for that. So I'm Alex White, as I mentioned, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino, and remote. We have Kenny White joining me, professional sports bettor. Let's start with yesterday's action. We had 2 1 seeds punch their ticket. They will be going to the Final Four. Let's start with Florida, who really had to survive there. Texas Tech looked like the better team for a good portion of that, but Florida finds a way and they get the win 84-79 over the Red Raiders. Any thoughts on that first game?
Gax, good morning. Yeah, the Texas Tech got their best player, I think one of their best players back, Chance McMillan, and he came back from an abdominal injury, and I heard he also had a shoulder injury too. So without him, they got by a couple games. They really struggled against Arkansas, and players make teams, and he had 14 points. He played 26 minutes. I think he was a big lift for the Texas Tech team, and they also came off an amazing comeback to beat Arkansas. They kind of maybe felt like they were playing with house money. They played fearlessly against Florida, but then, it became the Walter Clayton Jr. show, and he took over and brought his team back and won the basketball game. So Florida's a great offensive team. They didn't look like it early, but they finished up for the game. They only shot 44%. Texas Tech shot 43%. That game did go over a lot because late scoring in that basketball game helped it go over the total.
Of course, the Gators are waiting for the outcome from Auburn and Michigan State to see who they will be playing in the Final Four. Going to the other game from yesterday, Duke and Alabama. Alabama looked unstoppable, unbeatable, almost, I heard people say, against BYU. Could not miss from three. They threw up 51 of those and made 25. And then yesterday, Duke forced them to play a little defense, maybe made them a little bit tired, because we also saw a game that stayed under a very high total of 174.5. Final was 150. Duke, 20-point win over Alabama. Thoughts on that one and just how good this Duke team is?
Yeah, I could talk probably for an hour on this game and this subject, and I will say that here's a couple things. One is 25% of games are fluke outcomes. And this was a fluke outcome. Even though it looks like, oh my gosh, Duke is amazing, they're so good, they're great, they're that much better. That's really not the case. Alabama played their worst game of the year. Mark Sears, their best player, one of the best players in the country, had 6 points. Now, we could say Duke did something there, that maybe Duke did that, but come on. They're not going to hold Mark Sears to 6 points. If they played another 10 games in the next 10 days, Mark Sears would average 25 points per game. This was just one of those unbelievably random instances. He just had a really bad game, and Duke defensed him very well. If they played tomorrow, I'm guaranteeing you Mark Sears would have 24 points. There's no way you hold him to less than that in this type of game. So that outcome was completely a fluke outcome. Alabama couldn't make a shot, and Duke shot very, very well, 46% from 3-point range against a very good team. Now, what Duke did do was they did slow this game down to a crawl. They slowed it down because Duke knew, and I thought Duke would run with them. I really did, because when you're the better team, you just play. If the other team wants to run, we can run, we'll run. But what Duke's coach did was said, hey, listen, we can frustrate them to death because they'll struggle a little bit in the half court. And what happens is, I always say, confidence is a fragile thing, that when a shot doesn't go in, a layup rims out, a shot looks like it spins around and goes out, and nothing goes your way, you lose confidence. And that's what happened to Alabama. If Alabama gains confidence now, I will say this, that if they played tomorrow, Duke would still be a 7.5, 8-point favorite, maybe 8.5, maybe 9 at the most. But it's not going to be a knee-jerk reaction, and we're going to, let's got to make Duke 17 against Alabama. No, it's not. They are a better team. They are a better team, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Alabama's better, but they're 8 points better, 9 points better at the most. And if Alabama played a game tomorrow, a fluke outcome, and won by 15, which could happen, the line the next day would be Duke 6.5. So I just want people to remember that, because that's the one thing why books win, because people remember what they saw last. And they're going to remember how Duke won by 20 against Alabama, and everybody's going to bet Duke next game.
Well, then Duke will play the winner of Houston and Tennessee, and we will get to that second. It is the second game from rotation order, but curious your thoughts on that one because Tennessee looked fantastic against Kentucky. They really couldn't slow down Ziegler. And then Houston was pretty lucky to survive against Purdue, who we thought was one of the weaker teams going into the Sweet 16. So curious how people are playing that, and I think the line tells us a lot about that one, and we'll get your thoughts. But first, let's get started. Let's start with Michigan State and Auburn. The big thing is, can all 4 1 seeds punch their ticket and make it to the Final Four? We have 2 really good 2 seeds that are going to try to stop them here. At the South Point, Auburn is a 4.5-point favorite over the Spartans in the total 147. I did jump in yesterday. I took some of that 5.5 from Michigan State. I just love Tom Izzo. I love this defense. It's just a matter of if they can do enough offensively. We know that they do struggle, especially from the 3-point line. So any thoughts on this? And I know you were leaning to the points, but now I think this is out of a play for you here at 4.
Yeah, it is. I see some 5 and 5.5s in the market right now.
Okay.
On Auburn.
Westgate?
This number's gone up. I think South Point may have 4.5 right now, but I'm seeing 5.5s at Bet Online, BetMGM, FanDuel. A lot of places are moving that direction. So there is money coming in on Auburn right now. That's good. I'll take the dog. I'm not betting it because I'm betting against a 1 not making it. I'm just betting at what my numbers are telling me, and my numbers are telling me Michigan State can hang in this game. And again, this might be a situation where Michigan State really turns this into a half-court battle. They're the better defensive team getting points here, so they may be the better coach team. Bruce Pearl's done a really good job. I think Bruce Pearl, if we assigned them points for what they do best, Bruce Pearl would be number 1 a recruiter, and number 2 would be a rah-rah pump you up guy. Tom Izzo would be a fundamentals coach and X's and O's. His top 2 things are. So when it gets to this point, I'd much rather have the X's and O's guy because obviously they got there and they got really good players, and that's why they are there. And Izzo's a really good recruiter. He's right there behind that. And then Bruce Pearl's X's and O's fall below that. But strengths of the coaches, I think the check mark goes to Tom Izzo.
It'll be very interesting because if we're going off of just the Sweet 16 games alone, both of these teams, second half teams, I mean, Michigan really put it on Auburn. I thought they could have won that game. Auburn ended up winning 78-65. They're kind of just flipped a switch there and ended up covering as well. And then on the flip side, Michigan State, they had a scare against Ole Miss, and Ole Miss really led that whole first half, and then some adjustments. So I do trust Tom Izzo to make those adjustments at half. Maybe we get a better number even going into the second half with the dog here.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Auburn, Michigan was neck and neck, and it was back and forth, changing leads, and then Auburn hit 2 threes in a row to go up 6. And once you fall behind, then you start to gamble a little bit. And Michigan started to panic. And if they wouldn't have gone into panic mode, they would have had a chance to actually beat Auburn. Tom Izzo's team's not going to go into panic mode, I don't think whatsoever in this game. They're too good. They're too athletic. They're too good defensively to go into panic mode here. I think if anybody goes into panic mode, it could be Auburn. They got the pressure on them in this game. So money's coming in on Auburn, but I don't agree with it. I'm with you. I'll be betting Michigan State here. And looking at how good these defenses are, my total was 145.5, but boy, we've seen some really low scores in some of these games now the last couple of days because defense does rule. All those kids know it. Defense wins championships. I talk about that defense gets you there to the championship. Once you get there, you better have offense. But right now, this is not the championship. The defense will rule in a lot of these games.
All right, let's go to that late game that I kind of teased earlier. Kelvin Sampson's team found a way against Purdue with a great inbound play there, so they avoided overtime as well. Tennessee really put it on Kentucky, third time that they did see them, and I heard the announcers talking about the first two times they met Kentucky, it was their worst opponent three-point percentage, and they really knew that Barnes would be ready and emphasizing that. And Tennessee did very good in that game. Here at South Point, Houston opened as a 3.5-point favorite. No hooks left here, so they are 3. And the total, I got a bad number. I went under 123.5 yesterday. So money for the over. It now sits at 125.5, which I'm sure you love now, jumping in on that better number.
Yeah, I see some 2.5s even on this game right now. So there's been some money for Tennessee, and the total I'm completely shocked at. I guess, again, I talked about this many times on the show that the models, the other sports analysts that have models that run these games, the average college total is 144. So they bet these games that are lower over. I made it 118. And you're right. I went under 123.5 myself. I felt this was a very strong under because the pace was going to be at a crawl. Both teams play extremely slow. Both teams play tremendous defense. Every shot clock's going to get into the 20s. You're only going to have 55 possessions in this game. I don't know how it gets to 126. I have no idea. So yeah, I guess I'm going to have to go in and bet a little bit more. Again, I made a 1% bet, and I talk about money management. So I bet basically if I had $1,000 bankroll, $10. So I'm going to go bet another $10 under 126 or 126.5. Now I see at DraftKings.
Wow.
So, that's just what it is, but I'm not over betting the game. So you have to understand that, please, folks that are listening and how to bet sports. It's not, I didn't bet 5% of my bankroll under 123.5. And now I'm going to go bet 10%. I don't want to lose 15% of my bankroll in what could be a fluke outcome.
Yeah.
These two teams are, Houston's offense is a top 10 offense and Tennessee's is a top 20. They could go both 5 for 6 on threes in the first 8 minutes of the game. And they could be on a pace for 160 for the entire game after 8 minutes. It's going to slow down after that, but that's, I'm again, if that happens, you're going to get me to throw another 1% in under 140 or something like that if both teams start hot. That's a possibility, and it could happen. What could also happen is it could be 2-0 after 5 minutes into this game, and neither team gets to 60. When it's all done and it's a 55-54 final score. That's what I think could happen. But there are random possibilities that it could happen that neither team misses a 3 early in the game. So both coaches have talked to their team about, we're up against a great defense. We need to be really very, very aggressive offensively in this game. And then after 10 minutes, both teams will revert back to what they really are, and they are slow down defensive basketball teams.
That's funny because actually I was very concerned with Tennessee, Kentucky. I did have that under. Actually, it's my best bet for the Review Journal contest. And that first half, 43-28, Tennessee really couldn't miss. And my thought process was, well, if Kentucky's going to get back in this game, it's going to fly over the total. But they really stuck to what they know, the Wolves, and played great defense there and held them to 37 in that second half as well. And then the regression to the mean kind of on their offensive side. We only saw them have 35 compared to that 43. So should be a good game. Any leans on the side? I know we've been trying to bet these dogs. They really haven't been barking as much as we thought. So chalk has prevailed at least straight up to move on in this tournament.
Yeah, I made it 2.5, so I'm right there, and you're right. Yesterday I only had Duke 4 over Alabama, and that's why I kind of went off. The games are fluke outcomes. If I adjust this again, again, I don't like to have knee jerk reactions. I probably would now make this game 7 though. So because I'm adjusting both teams, I'm adjusting Duke to be way better, and then I got to adjust Alabama down a little bit. So the numbers now are a little tighter. Auburn, I made 3.5, but we can get 5.5, and Houston 2.5. And the one good thing about, so if you don't play the side in this game, you can always play in game. And remember, basketball is a game of runs. One team makes a run, coach calls timeout, his team makes a run and gets back in it. So in this spot, I would like the dog. Maybe Houston goes on a 6-0 run to start the game, an 8-0 run. And now you can take 6.5 with Tennessee in a game that's going to be 55-54 by the end of the game, we hope. So that's something you could look at. You could do the other way. Maybe Tennessee goes on the 8-0 run and they become a 3.5 point favorite to win the game, and you can take 3.5 with Houston in that spot. So you can do it both ways, and it could go back and forth. You could put yourself in a situation where you have both teams plus a price in this basketball game.
Glad that you did bring that up, because there are a lot of in-game opportunities here. I'm excited to find out who will be our Final Four for next weekend. 2 really good games, hopefully coming up today. I really cannot get over that total now. I am seeing just more and more 126.5. So that will be the pre-flop here for that one, and then potentially seeing if we can jump in with an in-game. You don't have to bet everything, side and total. Just want to find your best bets, your best edges. So I think that under is definitely it. Let's take a quick 1-minute break, unless you have any more for college basketball. Before we move on, we're going to talk baseball and hockey. Now, you do have a very good play coming up tomorrow, I believe it is the 1st, Irvine. Do you want to give out that one as well, or you want to wait for the end with your?
It's not the 1st. It's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay. 31 days in this month.
Yes. Okay. It is. It's for Tuesday. So you want to wait for your whiteboard, or because we won't be back tomorrow or Tuesday.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I'll put it on my whiteboard.
Okay. So let's take a 1-minute break. On the other side, we will go through all of the MLB games and the NHL. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Welcome back, everybody. I need to pull up the chat here and check in with anybody who is hanging out with us this Sunday, March 30th. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White. Let's bring him in. We're going to jump into some baseball, and I will pull up the chat just to check in why we are doing that. But let's start off with a good one. On the board, we got Aaron Nola and Mitchell Parker. Need to pull up the current odds here as well. At the South Point, we're looking at 145 for the Phillies and a total of 9 under 20.
Well, Alex, I've got a big difference here. The Phillies have won the first 2 games of this series, so I do adjust 25 cents, Washington trying to prevent the sweep in this game. So I had them 187. I would adjust down to 162. Still might have a close, there's some 139s, 130 out there in this game. So it's close to being a play for me. Philadelphia, the far better offensive team. They're better defensively, and I think Aaron Nola is the better starting pitcher, and then a slight edge for the bullpen for the Phillies. So I like that Phillies team. We did a little preview of baseball last week with Jeff, and Philadelphia is going to be my team to win the East.
It's funny. He's not the first person that I've heard talk about the Phillies and an aging lineup that they are concerned about. But looking at your numbers, you still have them ranked very high offensively.
Yeah, against the left-handed pitcher, I do my ratings lefty-righty. They're the top offense on the board today. So yeah, this lineup can play, and we know Bryce Harper, and he plays mad. He's mad. He wants to win a World Series. He wants to get a ring. I think he's very motivated. He's the leader of that team, and I think the team falls in line. And they just got great players, and I love their pitching rotation. Picking up their guy from yesterday, can't think of his last name. Came from Marlins, big lefty. That was a great pickup. Jesus.
Yes. Checking in with the chat really quick. Good morning, everybody. So we do have Moses in here. Good. He liked the Nationals' first 5 on opening day. Greg Hampton, nice to meet you too. Glad that you did come say hello while you were at South Point. JR, Drew Dog, Roger, and Dean Hilt, of course. And Nick is in here as well. So good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. And JR's jumping in talking about people remember what they saw last with North Carolina. That's pretty solid, but weren't expecting Arkansas to really turn it on and start the season like this. Dean Hilt did put his plays in. He likes Houston -3 and Tennessee under 60.5. I don't hate that team total at all. So very good. Good to hear from you. And JR did give us the pitcher, Luzardo.
Jesus Luzardo, yeah.
Yes.
That's who it is. Yeah, he's got really good stuff. He was a great addition to this. He's a strikeout guy that if he works on his command and really fine tunes his command a little bit, this guy could be a dominating pitcher. So they got a guy with a live arm.
All right, let's go down to the next game here. The Pirates did get one win. They're 1-2 now on the season. Even money here at the South Point. The Marlins are -115, and the total 7.5 over -120.
Yeah, I really don't have anything in the game. I made Pittsburgh 107, and total is 7. We're into the number 3 starters now for these teams, so got to be a little careful. I don't want to go under a low number, and I really thought about these pitchers they're still not anywhere near where they need to be, so. I love unders, but I can't bet under in any of these games because I'm not sure where these pitchers are right now.
Right. So kind of treading lightly right now with baseball just starting. I talked about that the other day too, right? It's kind of a feel out process as well. And I mean, of course, if you think you have a great edge with an underdog taking plus money, but you don't want to lay a lot either in these games, right? I mean, unless you're betting on the Dodgers.
I don't think so. I still, these guys go to spring training. Some go to spring training in shape. Some go to spring training to get in shape. We don't know which ones are which. And I think you get a lot of random results early in the season because of that fact. And who's on a contract year? Who's ready to go? Who's ready to have a big year? Who's, ready to go out to 162 games? I'm going to pace myself. And that's what happens. And I also talk a lot about mid-season form. None of these guys are in mid-season form because they're only in the 3rd game of the year. So
right.
They're not going to hit their potential for another, 30 to 45 days where they're going to actually be in kind of mid-season form.
Any differences here? Let's go to the 3rd game on the board. It is the 3rd game for these two teams, both of them 1-1 coming in. Robbie Ray and the Giants are -120, and the total is 8 here against Nick Martinez.
I don't mind the Reds here at home. They do have a predominantly right-handed hitting lineup. I think they'll hit lefties, and Robbie Ray's a good lefty, but he's had a couple of years now. That he hasn't been as great as he was when he was with the Diamondbacks and he was their ace. So I made the Reds $1.20 and 9. I think they hit lefties well. Good hitting ballpark, day game. Again, if these guys are off just a little bit and I can get one big inning in this game, I should be able to get this over. But I do like small bet on the Reds and a small bet on the over.
Very early here, but the Diamondbacks trying to get back to 500. They're 1-2, going up against the Cubs again. Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound for the D-backs, -120 in that one as well, and the total 9.
Love this pickup by the Diamondbacks, Eduardo Rodriguez. They're another one of my teams. I'm going to bet to win the National League pennant. They have the offense, they have the defense, they have the bullpen, and I think they have a very good starting rotation. I think they're going to be very dangerous. The Dodgers are absolutely loaded, but I think Arizona can actually. It depends on how motivated the Dodgers are every single day, and if they can't stay that motivated, Arizona's a team that could give them a little bit of a battle and a little bit of a run. I think they're that talented. I made Rodriguez 139 here. I do like the lefty Matt Boyd for the Cubs. Thought he was a really good pickup. Again, my total 9. I didn't add anything to it, but the roof is open in Arizona, and I didn't know this. I just found out this yesterday, and I don't know why. When I Googled all last year, roof open, roof closed, and this thing popped up, said roof always closed. And it said because they had a cable that they were worried about that could malfunction, and they decided to close the roof in every home game the last 2 years, and they would not open it. But now, because they were afraid they wouldn't start a game with it open in case rain came in. So they did every game with it closed, which is shocking. I understand having it closed when it's 110 degrees or 100 degrees there because it's so hot, but that's why they have a retractable roof. But the roof is fixed. They fixed the cable. So they can now start games with the roof open, and they can close it if they need to with fans in the stands. That's what they were worried about is something malfunctioning while people were in the stadium, but they feel they have that corrected. So the roof is open. That does help the ball carry. My total basically from the last couple of years is with a closed roof. So even though I do like these two lefties, I like these two offenses, and they can swing it. I think this is an over game as well.
Okay, because you kind of take off a little bit for the great pitching, but then add a little bit back there and good offensive. So let's move to the last game here with Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres, and he is the favorite over the Braves. Him and the Padres are -125, total 8 flat.
I have the Braves the favorite here in this game. I like Smith-Shawver, what I've seen from him. Pavetta's a really good pitcher. I don't think he's ever hit his potential. We'll see. Maybe he does this year, but I still think the Braves here, 3-game losing streak. I don't think they want to be swept. I think you're going to see a Brave team that went home from the game yesterday. Were back to their hotel and didn't go out all night. And hey, we got to right the ship here. We got to get a W. We can't start the season 0-4. You know I like streaks and adding on 15 cents for each win after 3. But a 4-game sweep, I think nullifies all of that. And I do think the Braves should be a small favorite here. So I did bet the Braves this morning.
Trying to prevent the sweep there. I do like that angle as well. Let's go to another one. Orioles are 2-1 on the year. Toronto 1-2. The team that you were talking about early as well. Toronto the favorite, -130, and the total is 9, another high one.
Yeah, I had the Orioles 102 and the total 8.5. So I'm really right there. A small lean to Baltimore, but I'm not in love with anything in this game. I do like the Toronto. I think both teams have really good superstars, but Baltimore playing without their star shortstop, is a 10-point drop off. So I didn't figure that into my line here on my sheet, which I should have. So I should probably have Toronto about $1.15.
Let's go to this next game here. Lower total 8.5, and you have it even lower than that. Angels and White Sox. It's been interesting between these two. The Angels are -125 in this one. The total's 8.5, juice to the under.
Yeah, I don't really want to go under. I love unders, but right now I'll be a little conservative betting those until I feel like these pitching staffs are in midseason form, and the pitchers are usually ahead of the hitters. But I heard something yesterday. Someone told me it was Coach Joe that there's a new torpedo barrel bat, that there's new revolutionary technology, and the Yankees are using them, and I don't know if anybody else is using them, but why wouldn't not? That's what he's saying. The Yankees hit 9 home runs yesterday because they're using these new bats, new technology, a torpedo barrel, never heard of it, that it's got a bigger sweet spot to barrel up baseballs.
Right.
And that if that's true, we might see a lot of high-scoring games if more teams are using that bat. I don't know who's using them, who's not, but that makes me worried about betting baseball, not knowing. There's so many things that can change a baseball game. The baseball and how it's wound. If they make baseballs and they don't have and they're not wound very tight, or as tight as they could be, that could help unders. If they're wound really tight and these things are like Super Balls and they just jump off the bat, scoring's going to be a lot higher. And this is the case because your brother told me he played at a high level and he played in Mexico. And when he got there, the year he played there, they changed the baseball because the year before that, the baseball was wound so tight, it was jumping out of the ballpark and they were setting records for home runs and runs. So they changed the baseball, and that's a fact, and that could happen. So we don't really know. And now you're telling me there's, torpedo barrels that the Yankees are using, and that's why they hit 9 home runs. So I worry about that, not knowing what could happen in these games. So that's why I don't want to bet under 8.5 with 2 really bad offenses, and all of a sudden we got 2 really bad pitchers and 2 really bad bullpens, and this scores 11-10.
We'll have to look into that. I definitely saw that floating around social media about the Yankees changing their bats. So we'll have to see if other teams jumped in as well. But yeah, I did see that yesterday. Here's a matchup that I feel like we saw a lot last year. Tanner Bybee for the Guardians and Michael Wacha, of course, in the same division. So these two do play each other often. But the Royals minus 115 and the total 7.5 under. Any differences in this one?
Yeah, I saw that Ramirez, the best player on the Guardians, is out. I don't have that in my number, but he's worth about 20 cents to the betting line. He's the leader of that team. I'd make Kansas City about 125 and lean to that side. And I would adjust my total down a half a run to 7.5. But again, wouldn't want to go under. I went over yesterday. The wind was blowing out to left center about 25 miles an hour. A 4-3 game. Even though it's blowing out in ballparks, they still got to hit. If they don't hit, you can't hit it over the fence. So both pitchers did well. Bybee's always had good stuff. Walker's always had good stuff. And both bullpens are very, very good. These are 2 of the top 5 bullpens in the big leagues. And that's why I didn't get that game over yesterday. It was 4-3 in the 7th. I only needed 1 more run from the Guardians and didn't get it. And that's kind of, a fluke outcome in those kind of situations that one day you're going to get it, one day you're not. I leaned to the Royals in this game, though.
Yesterday, 13.5 was the total for the Aviators game and did end 13. I'm curious if JR jumped in on and had anything on that. But for those over bettors, that one hurt too because there was definitely wind there. Jacob deGrom and the Rangers are minus 165 hosting the Red Sox. The total 7.5 flat. Richard Fitz on the other side for Boston.
Yeah, another dome stadium or a retractable roof stadium that you're going to be open because the weather in Texas will be good. I have 8.5. I can raise it to 9, even with deGrom on the mound. Jacob deGrom is, a great pitcher, but again, we haven't seen him in a couple of years now because of injuries. So 2 very, very good lineups in this game. I do lean to the over, but again, very small bet, 1%.
What do you want to do here? Your Mariners are minus 160 hosting the Athletics. 7.5 under, minus 125 is the total.
Oh, I've been a big JP Sears fan. Watched him a lot last year. I don't know why, but I saw him in his first start last year against Detroit, and he was horrendous. And I thought, wow, I thought he's going to be better than that. I bet him that game, and then you remember what you saw last. I was worried about him, but I think he turned it around and had a much better year. I think he's got a really high ceiling, JP Sears, and I think I probably have him a little underrated. I think most projections have him underrated a little bit. So I only made the game 147. I think it could be a tight battle. Again, Seattle's offense nowhere near what they need to be an elite team. Yeah, I do like the Mariners because I love this pitching staff.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good pitching staff. They throw strikes and they strike people out. That's a big key to being a good pitcher.
Well, and thinking about it, I mean, they could always turn it on. These are professional athletes, and we talk about that with even NFL, right? Like the best guy is not that much farther than the worst guy in the pros. It's so hard to get here. So that we could get their bats going eventually. But for this one specifically, lean to the Athletics, taking that juicy plus price there. Let's go to our interleague games. Just 3 of them here for us. The Yankees, wow, really put it on Milwaukee yesterday. They are minus 140, and the total is 8.5. Is that total high enough for this Yankees offense right now?
Yeah, right. So there's where you go. That remember what you saw last.
Yep.
The Yankees scoring 20 runs, hitting 9 home runs. Now are we talking? Is it going to revert back to the mean that they go, worse than what they did yesterday? And does Savali throw a shutout? I made him $1.57. The Yankees. I have a play on them basically right now. I don't mind betting them. I hope they stay hot.
Yeah.
I hope they stay hot and they swing it again. I would think that if the case is true about these torpedo barrels and they're using them, you might as well jump on Yankees and over, or Yankee team total over. They're going to score runs. It's just it's an advantage, it's an edge, and you might as well jump on that edge right now because my numbers are saying Yankees should win, and I made the total 8.5. But if they've got that advantage, it could go over.
Yeah, we do like to follow how the team is doing. Last year we kind of called it the vibe, but really like who was hot and adding some into that. And I would say the Yankees are feeling good, especially with losing Juan Soto and mixing in new players, but hasn't really affected them yet. 2 more on the board here. Let's go to the Rays, minus 175 over Colorado. 7.5 is the total.
I think Colorado has been undervalued a little bit in the betting market, what I've seen so far, because Tampa is a great organization. I love them. I think they've done a great job, but they have spent less money. They've always done that. This is a team that is very frugal with their money and how they spend it on their players. They like to develop within. There's been a shift in baseball, though, with the minor leagues now being cut down from each team having 6 teams to now having just 3 teams basically in their minor league system. That maybe hurts teams that develop players, that now they're not developing 150 guys. If you're developing 150 guys, you're going to get 15 to move up. Now you're developing 75, you're going to get 7 to move up. So I think that it hurts a team like Tampa. Colorado, people, they don't like him, but Feltner's a decent pitcher. I think they can hang around. I only made him $1.35 in this game. I didn't bet it. It did open a lot higher at a price that I could have bet this, but I didn't. I missed it. I just didn't get it. If I would have seen it plus $1.70, I would have taken Colorado here.
Now plus 160, still a lean, but not guaranteed to jump in on that one. When we did our preview, you talked about the St. Louis Cardinals and how you love this organization. Well, they're 2-0 to start the season. They are leading the NL Central. They were projected to finish last in this division. You didn't necessarily agree with that. But today, now we have the Twins trying to avoid a sweep here, and they are a small favorite, minus 110, and the total is 8.
Yeah, I might look to do this too. And I talked about their organization being a good organization, but maybe they are hurt now by the lack of players to develop in their minor league system. So they don't move up as many guys. I like Bailey Uber. I think he's a really good pitcher. I think Minnesota's the better offensive team. And, I should have said that, the Brewers are trying to avert a sweep. I should have adjusted that down to being no play on the Yankees. So I'm going to do the same thing on the Twins because they're trying to avoid a sweep, and I'll make them $1.50. These are my best type of plays where I've got, I think, the better team, the motivated team, and you're laying a short price. So I out of the entire board today that we've talked about, I think I like the Twins over the Cardinals the best today.
Yeah, minus 110 there for them to get that win in St. Louis. I agree. No totals really, right? Was there any totals that you loved in baseball today? Or
I looked at a couple that I bet over. I bet the Reds over 8. I bet the Diamondbacks over 9. And I like that Ranger game over 8. So those 3 totals are all small plays.
Okay, Red Sox and the Rangers. One more quick break for us. We'll probably get out of here a little bit early. Drew Dog and I do have to get back to the ballpark for our 3rd game against the Reno Aces there, the Las Vegas Aviators. So if you are in Vegas, come join us. 12:05 first pitch for that one. So 1 minute break. We'll talk hockey quickly. We'll show the whiteboards and we will get on our way. Looking forward to 2 really good elite games coming up today. But don't go anywhere. We still got hockey to come next.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza. Plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book. Over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is Sports by the Book. We are live from the South Point Hotel and Casino, shooting out of the South Point studio. Thanks for joining us. I'd love to see everybody in the chat. We do have a question for you from Dean Hilt, knows that you do handicap women's college basketball as well. He said, does Kenny have a play in the women's NCAA today? UCLA versus LSU. He is grabbing his sheet right now so he can tell you. Oh, and JR mentioned Lizardo was a former Las Vegas Aviator. So thank you for that little nugget as well.
Yeah, Lizardo was in the Oakland A's organization. That's right. I remember that.
Yes.
He was one of their top prospects, too, I think, when they traded him to Miami. I have 2 plays in the women's. Taking 9 with Duke and under in that game. Well, I have 4 plays, actually. I like the dog. I like the dog and under in both games, and I hope they're defensive games. So like Duke plus 9 under the total, and I like LSU plus 5 and under that total. I think it's 141.
Okay, there you have it. Dogs and under. Now is probably a good time, getting more competitive now in the women's in these rounds.
Yeah, well, you're getting the cream of the crop. Once that's what these tournaments are about. The best of the best start playing each other, and Duke plays really good. All these teams play really good defense. So,
checking in to see if I missed anything else. Oh, Nick did say an article just came out on the Score app about those bats. So, if anybody else wants to look into that as well, we will definitely be following up on that. Now, Roger Long did mention that the Dodgers are 4-1 versus the run line. So, curious. I guess we'll keep an eye on that, but I don't know. How long do you think?
They got a great offense and a great pitching staff. I get, that's probably the way to bet the Dodgers. You don't want to lay big prices with them, but they're not on the board today, are they?
No. They are not on the board today, but moving forward, we will talk about that. Let's get to some hockey. We are treading lightly on some of these just because we are coming down to the end. Some teams don't have much to play for. Really, I've been looking at that Grand Salami, and it's been fairly easy overs from what I didn't check yesterday, but looking ahead the days before, the overs have just been cashing there. So pulling up the standings now, so we do have an idea of who is still playing for what. And let's get started. Florida Panthers, huge favorite today at home against the Canadians. We'll start right there. Looking Canadians, yep, they're still out right now, 75 points, 2 behind that wild card spot with the Rangers currently in. So that makes me want to stay away from Florida definitely in this one. Maybe even look to the Canadians, but total wise, it's 5.5.
It's such a big price. Both teams are playing hard. Even though the Canadians have lost 5 in a row, they're still in the playoff hunt, and they need a win badly. They're probably much better off at home than they are on the road. Florida just 1 point behind Toronto to win the Atlantic. So I got to believe that they would love to win the Atlantic. They're still playing hard too.
So that's what makes this tough, because I do have a difference here on the total, leaning to the over here. Both teams playing hard. Does that lead to more of a defensive playoff style hockey, or can we anticipate some goals here? Now, I know Canadians are 3-3 with their medians on the road.
Yeah, and Florida's won 7 straight home games now. They've just been a machine. If they get out in front early in this game, they could put a 6 spot up themselves. They're that good offensively. So I worry about those. If they were playing a weak team, this is a weak team. If they were playing a weak team that was eliminated, we've seen a lot of high-scoring hockey games here in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, we have. I agree, though. So maybe let's go down the board and see if we have anything a little bit better today. Winnipeg Jets minus 220 over Vancouver. The total here at the South Point is down to 5, which I do understand. 5.5 other spots. But we don't have it that low, and that is because of Vancouver. But it will be Demko today, and I've noticed overs more with Lankinen, but Thatcher Demko hasn't played that much. And Vancouver, 8 straight overs here going into this one. So what do you think? Are we jumping in on this over?
Yeah, you have it 6 under 15, and you can go over 5.5 plus $1.20. You're getting plus money to get 6 goals here. Vancouver in a must-win situation, 6 points behind the Blues. They're getting close to elimination. Their backs are to the wall. And Winnipeg with a 4-point lead over Dallas for the Central to win the Central. But they know Dallas is hot and playing well. Winnipeg's playing well. I think over is a nice little play there.
Okay, so let's look into this, because right now over 5 minus 140. At other books, I'm seeing 5.5 under minus 140. So going over 5.5, you can get plus 120. Might as well do that, right? Because we are playing to win, not really playing to tie.
Yeah, I may split my bet on that. Half my bet over 5 minus 40 and half my bet under 5.5 plus 20.
No, over 5.5 would be plus 20.
Over 5.5. Over 5.5 plus 20. I might split my bet over 5 and over 5.5.
Okay. I like that strategy. So that is why I have to ask the question, so we know moving forward. Let's go to the Caps. $3 favorite, 3-1 favorite, 6 over 120. I do have this one higher as well, and that is because Buffalo Sabres. I've been writing those overs all year. Logan Thompson is playing for Washington today. How far ahead are they in their division? Washington.
I think the only thing they have to play for is number 1 overall.
Okay.
Would be to get home ice in the Stanley Cup. So they're, overall best record in the NHL. They're 1 point behind the Winnipeg Jets right now. So they have 11-point lead in for the Eastern Conference. 11-point lead over Carolina for the division, and 11-point lead over Toronto and Carolina for the conference. So they're pretty comfortable there, but I still think they're playing hard. Buffalo completely out. They've been eliminated. I believe, it doesn't say eliminated, but they need, they're 11 points back with 10 to go. I guess they could get there, but They are 6-4, so they've played decent as of late, but they're a bad road team. This could be another game that could be a very high-scoring game. This might be a parlay. Washington to the over.
Washington to the over. I like this over 6, definitely. Big enough difference there for me. And we've just seen all the goals. So we got a couple more coming up here with overs as well. Chicago Blackhawks, Utah Hockey Club. Total is 6. I've got it 6.3, so 6.5 under, minus 120. Really nothing there. And then looking at, I do have Utah about a 2-1 favorite. So we're going to skip that one. Let's go to the Senators and Pittsburgh. The Senators have been playing great hockey. They've won 2 in a row now and are the favorite, minus 135. Penguins have been struggling. Tristan Jarry has been playing better, though. Total is 6, and I'm right there as well. Anything you see between those first two, or should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, Ottawa is playing very good hockey, and they're trying to clinch a spot. They're trying to move up into the top 3 in the division. I like the way they're playing. This could be an over game too, though, as well, because Pittsburgh's defense has been really porous as of late. Their home median score, they lose 4-3. This game kind of looks like that with the backup Forsberg going for the Senators today too.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean you have it right on at 6, but Pittsburgh's gone over 7 straight games now because that defense is so bad.
Yeah, they have been a nice over machine there for us, the Penguins. Now, looking at this next one, I'm shocked with my number. Might need some adjustments here because the Islanders have gone over 7 straight, and now they're playing Carolina, who is a very good defensive team too. 5.5, so that number has moved down from the opener of 6. The Canes minus 340. No shock there, even though I don't have them quite as high. It's just a matter of if the Islanders are playing for anything here, but I'm going to definitely stay away from the total, even though I have it a lot lower than that 5.5.
Yeah, but both teams still playing for wins. The Islanders on the outside looking in for the playoffs. They're still fighting hard for wins, and so is Carolina. Your total is very low. This kind of looks like your best bet of the day. When you look at the medians, the Islanders are 3-3 in their road games, and Carolina wins 4-2 at home. They're a dominating home team. But again, neither one of those add up to more than 6. So I think you're on a game where both teams are playing to win, and maybe this is a very good under.
I don't know if there are any 6s out there anymore. Oh, there is. Okay. Only 1 6. It has moved down to 5.5 now. What about
also other folks have bet this under now than when they saw that number? But when I put the sheet out this morning at 8:30 or 8:45, Circa was at 6 in this game.
I think Circa still is.
And they still are.
Yep.
They still are. They're the only 6 Pinnacles at 6. Everybody else in the market's at 5.5. And it did open some places 5.5 over 40, but was bet down. So I think your number was right. If you can get under that 6, it's going to take 7 goals to beat you.
Wow. Islanders have actually played the Canes very good. They are 2-1 this season, except for the one game where they were shut out. So getting plus 105 here for a team that's still trying to make the playoffs with a puck and a half doesn't look too bad to me either. So Islanders plus 1.5, plus 105 could be another way you play that game. Let's go to Toronto and Anaheim. Toronto minus 165 at the South Point, total 6.5. Man, I've got the Maple Leafs a lot higher, but Anaheim's still playing hard. They've won 2 in a row now coming into this game.
Yeah, has Toronto had some guys, some of their superstars out lately?
Are you thinking of the Oilers?
Was it the Oilers that had their guy? That's maybe who I was thinking of. But so you got all your top stars in for Toronto?
I believe so.
Both teams need to win. Anaheim still has not been eliminated yet, so they're still kind of playing with their backs to the wall. Toronto 1 point out from first place. So both these teams are playing hard, which you get defense. When you know one team's not playing hard anymore and they quit, you're not like the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those games go over because they don't care anymore. They're not defense. It's hard to play, but they still want to score. But this game, you're going to get good defense out of both. I think your number's right there. You lean to Toronto, though, in a big price, laying a big price. I think the only way you can bet that's to lay a puck and a half.
That's right. Plus 150 on that one, which I do not hate at all. And then nothing in this last one. Kings, one of the best home teams in the league. Huge favorite here, minus 360. And we have the number basically right there. And the total is 5.5 now, over minus 120. We do have that a little bit closer to 6. Not enough, not a big enough difference there. All right, I've got your whiteboard. I've got my whiteboard. I think we are ready to give those plays out. I think I had a few more hockey, but we'll have to go through that as well. Let's go ahead and get our whiteboard animation, and we'll get going here. I'll have you go first. Do you want to read them from here?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Today I'm going to take Michigan State, as I made a case that I think Tom Izzo's the better coach, X's and O's when they get into this situation. He's got enough talent to hang around. The Houston game, they give us a couple extra points to keep this under the total, but Houston and Tennessee, two of the best defensive teams in the country, and this is going to be played at a very slow pace, under 127. I like the Minnesota Twins in Major League Baseball today. That's my best play. And then on Tuesday, Alex mentioned this before, North Texas and UC Irvine, another game that's going to be played at a snail's pace, and two very good defenses. I like that under 128.
Okay, there you have it. Kenny White's best bets of the day. We are on the same sides for the men's basketball tournament. I did jump in with Michigan State plus 5.5. I'm on that under as well at a bad number, but I'm going to jump in for another 1 unit play or 1% play here on a better number at 127. I also like the Canucks and the Jets going over 5. That is a juicy price, minus 140. 2 plays at the end there with hockey that I do like. The puck line, Islanders plus 1.5, getting a plus price, and then Toronto laying the puck and a half against Anaheim at plus 150. So pizza money bets on those two. That's it for us for today. Any final thoughts for you, Mr. Wizard of Odds?
Well, let's hope that defense shows up today in the women's games, and they're both very low scoring and tight. I'm looking for defense to rule the day today in both men's and women's basketball.
So are those your best bets going into the day? Is your women's the side and the total there?
I could have put those on my whiteboard too. I think, both games are solid underplays.
I said best. I really meant your biggest, because you're... Percentage-wise, probably.
Yeah, maybe they're 2-3% plays. That Houston game is going to be a 2% play for me for sure now, because I already went under 123.5, so now I'm going under 127.
Right. Good luck to everybody who
I'm going to bet it in game if they do start hot. So it'll be a 3% under.
Very good. And people can follow that as well. Nick did just say Toronto is pretty healthy, so that's good to know. And Henry, I'm glad I got you too. Great show as always. Good luck today. Good luck to everybody who is following us, who has their own bets going. Drew Dog, Sean, thank you so much for being here on a Sunday. For Kenny White, I'm Alex White. This is Sports by the Book. We'll see you again this week.